A guy reincarnates into another world, waking up with a badass ability, water manipulation. Not just splashing around like some cheap magic trick. This shit lets him command water itself, bend it to his will, and even tame the most vicious aquatic beasts, turning them into his own monstrous pets. But he doesn't stop there. Oh no. He pushes them, forcing their evolution past any natural limits, transforming them into terrifying sea demons. Now let's fucking dive in. Liang stood frozen, eyes wide as the morning sun bled over the horizon. The golden light painted the sky in fire and warmth, the crisp morning breeze filling his lungs. It was almost too perfect, like a dream too fragile to be real. Then his father's voice cut through the silence, snapping him back. It was a voice he hadn't heard in years, familiar, warm, and full of life. His heart clenched. Without thinking, he ran to him, determined to make the most of the day. They spent the morning on the lake, checking their catch, laughing like idiots. It was stupidly simple, but fuck, it felt good. Like when a crab latched onto his foot and refused to let go. Or when his father nearly choked from laughing too hard. Or the dumb little scribbles they carved into the boat's side just for the hell of it. It was enough. More than enough. He barely noticed time slipping away until the sun had already started its descent. They sat by the shore, watching the water burn with the colors of dusk. That's when he saw it, a red carp, scales glinting under the dying light. Rare as hell. So without a second thought, he dove in. And that's when everything went to shit. The fish was gone. The lake was silent. Too silent. The water around him felt wrong, thick and unmoving. Like something was holding him in place. His chest tightened. Limbs grew heavy. Panic clawed at the edges of his mind. He struggled, desperate, hoping his father would pull him out. But the world darkened. Everything faded. And then he woke up. Except his father wasn't there. Instead, two fuckers stood before him. His blood ran cold. The truth hit him like a goddamn truck. That day on the lake? A dream. A cruel fucking illusion. Reality was worse. He was tied up, captured like some goddamn sacrifice. Zhang. That bastard. He had tricked him, pretending to guide them, when in reality, he was nothing but bait. Bait for the monster lurking below. Liang wasn't just some clueless idiot. He wasn't even supposed to be here. This wasn't his first life. He was a transmigrator. A month ago, he had woken up in this world, inhabiting a body that didn't belong to him. The original owner? Dead. Taken by illness. And now, his past didn't matter. Because in this world, power ruled everything. Here, humans could push past their mortal limits, bending reality through sheer willpower. Cultivators, they called them. And it wasn't just humans. Beasts too could evolve, growing into nightmares that made the ocean itself their hunting ground. Speaking of nightmares, the water beneath them shifted. Something massive stirred below. Even Zhang, a seasoned cultivator, went pale the second he saw it. They had expected a beast about half a meter long. Bullshit. The thing that surfaced could have swallowed a horse whole. The boat rocked violently, panic rippling through the crew. But Zhang wasn't about to go down without a fight. He had trained for a decade. If this thing wanted a meal, it would have to fucking earn it. The beast lunged. Zhang moved. He threw everything he had at it, his strongest technique meeting the monster head-on. It didn't fucking matter. The monster's jaws snapped shut, and in one brutal moment, Zhang was gone. Swallowed whole like a fucking snack. The boat shattered. Wood splintered. Chaos erupted. The old bastard who had captured Liang panicked, his perfect little plan crumbling around him. He never planned to die here. He needed a way out. So he did the unthinkable. With zero hesitation, he drove a blade into Liang hand and tossed him overboard. Blood poured from the wound, staining the water. A distraction. A sacrifice. Liang sank, his bound hands dragging him deeper. But he wasn't about to let that be the end of him. He fought. Bit down on the ropes, tearing through the fibers until they finally loosened. But there was another problem. He was too deep. Oxygen was running out. His vision blurred. Then, like a ghost from the past, his father appeared, arm reaching out. A hallucination. He knew it wasn't real. But instinct took over. His fingers stretched forward. and they met something solid. A log. The same damn log from his father's boat, the one they had carved their faces into years ago. Even in death, his father had saved him. But the moment was short-lived. The blood in the water had spread, and the beast had caught his scent. Pain exploded through his leg. Teeth clamped down, yanking him into the abyss. The pressure crushed his chest. The light from above vanished. And then he saw it. A graveyard. Shattered boats. Bones picked clean. Treasure piles stacked like a cruel fucking joke. This was it. No escape. No miracle. He had fought. But now, there was nothing left. So with his last breath, he closed his eyes, whispering a silent apology to his father. Then, the beast slammed him against the lake bed. Hard. Agony ripped through his body. And then, something stirred beneath him. His blood seeped into the ancient ruins buried in the sand. And something answered. A power long forgotten. The water trembled. Energy surged through his veins, foreign yet familiar. It molded to him, responding like it had always belonged to him. A system appeared before his eyes. Skill obtained, water manipulation. The water was no longer his enemy. It was his weapon. His wounds closed. His body strengthened. And suddenly, he wasn't sinking anymore. It felt like standing on solid ground, the water bending to his will. The beast lunged again. But this time, Liang wasn't fucking helpless. With just a thought, the water obeyed. It twisted, surged, and caught the monster mid-attack, suspending it in place. Power flooded through him. He had no limits here. But he wasn't stupid. This was new. His control was far from perfect. The beast broke free, coming at him again. He dodged with ease, slipping through the water like it was second nature. But dodging alone wouldn't win him this fight. He needed something more. And the system answered. New skill, blood domination. Through his own blood, he could inscribe ancient runes, forging contracts with spirit beasts. His pulse quickened. Perfect. The beast surged forward once more. Liang grinned. This time, he was ready. The beast lunged again, a blur of muscle and rage. Fuck that. He wrenched control of the water, slamming it into the monster like an unrelenting tide. It staggered, just enough for him to carve the runes, deep, precise, bloody. The talisman demanded sacrifice, and his hands were already slick with it. Then the bastard broke free. Water shattered around it, its roar shaking his ribs. Shit. He didn't hesitate, couldn't. He dove past its thrashing limbs, heat from its breath scalding his skin, and slammed the talisman onto its skull. The magic fought back. Contracts weren't some easy, clean ritual. This was a battle of wills. And losing wasn't an option. It was a battle of sheer will, a clash of raw spiritual force. The beast thrashed, its monstrous will clawing at his very soul, trying to crush him under its weight. Darkness clouded his vision. His limbs locked up, every fiber of his being screaming in agony. It was suffocating, like his entire existence was being drowned out, swallowed whole by something far greater. But unfortunately for this overgrown fish, Liang wasn't some weak-willed bastard. His soul had lived twice, endured more than most could ever imagine. And with that combined strength, he fought back. Power surged through him, a wave of defiance crashing against the beast's assault. He pushed, dug deep, and overpowered it with sheer unrelenting force. And in the end, he won. The contract was sealed. Gasping, Liang burst through the water's surface, his lungs burning as he took in a desperate breath. Air never tasted so damn sweet. And for the first time since this nightmare started, he could finally breathe easy. The beast followed, its massive form looming over the lake like an ancient deity. But those once hostile eyes now held something else entirely: submission. Reverence. It had fully accepted him as its master. Still, there was a problem. He couldn't just waltz back into the village with a goddamn water leviathan at his side. That'd cause a whole new level of chaos. So through their newly forged bond, he commanded it to stay hidden, retreating to the depths where it could wait for his call. With that handled, it was time to get the hell out of here. The next day, that snake of an old man slithered into the village, dragging his lackeys and steward Zhang along with him. They weren't here to grieve. No, the bastard had his sights set on something else entirely: his father's fortune. In his twisted little mind, it was compensation for the botched mission. Zhao was dead, and someone had to pay for it. Without hesitation, they stomped up to Liang Ku's house. The moment they reached the door, they kicked it wide open, expecting an empty room. Instead, they froze. Because standing right there, very much alive, was Liang Ku. Silence hung in the air, thick and suffocating. Zheng's face contorted in fury, turning on the old bastard who had sworn Liang Ku was fish food. But none of that mattered now. The steward's mind was already made up. Someone had to take the fall for this mess. And since Liang Ku had the audacity to still be breathing, he was the perfect target. With a simple wave of Zheng's hand, his goons lunged forward. Apparently, Zhao's death wasn't just an inconvenience, it had cost Zheng a fortune. And to make matters worse, the beast was still out there. In their eyes, this was all Liang Ku's fault. Which, of course, was complete and utter bullshit. Liang Ku fired back, spitting the truth right back in their faces. He laid it all out, pinning the real blame where it belonged, on that greedy old bastard. But of course, the snake slithered his way out, flipping the whole thing on its head. How could he survive unless he was working with the beast? The old man sneered. And just like that, the accusation changed. Now, he wasn't just a troublemaker. He was a monster. A freak who had tamed a water demon. A traitor who had orchestrated Zhao's death. It was a ridiculous claim, but Liang Ku knew all too well how easy it was for people to turn on someone different. Back in his old life, he was just another orphan. A walking misfortune. No matter what he did, the stigma never left. But one thing was certain, he wasn't about to roll over and take it. They wanted him to be a monster so bad? Fine. He'd show them what a real one looked like. Without hesitation, he tackled the old bastard, shoving him back so hard he nearly fell on his ass. Then, his gaze locked onto a nearby water basin. Water surged to his arm, twisting and coiling like a serpent ready to strike. The energy thrummed beneath his skin, crackling with raw, unrestrained power. His anger sharpened his focus. For a brief moment, he considered wiping them all out, drowning them in the very element they feared. But just as he was about to unleash hell, a voice cut through the chaos. His childhood friend. And right beside her, the village chief. The old man's voice carried a weight that even Steward Zheng couldn't ignore. He was ancient, sure, but his authority was real, undeniable. Even Zheng's master would bow to him. So, with no other option, the bastard backed off. But not before throwing one last venomous glare Liang Ku's way. "You'll regret this." Old man just smirked. "Try me." And with that, they left. But Liang Ku knew this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Situations like this would keep happening, over and over again, unless he did something about it. So he made a decision. If he wanted to survive in this world, he had to use his system to the fullest. Get stronger. Fast. That's when he realized something wasn't right. His water essence was climbing. At first, he had no damn clue why. Then it hit him. His crocodile had to be behind this. Curious as hell, he waited until nightfall, heading back to the lake. The moment he activated his spirit link, his beast surfaced. And holy shit, he almost lost it. The towering, man-devouring menace was now tiny, drifting on the water like a damn bath toy. Liang Qiu squinted, rubbed his temples. Maybe he was too exhausted to think straight. Before he could even demand answers, the system chimed in. Contracted beasts can alter their size to regulate energy consumption. Well, hell. That actually made sense. But he didn't come here to gawk at his pet's new magic trick. He needed answers. Without hesitation, he signaled the croc. "Show me." The little beast dove deep, weaving through the dark waters before slipping into a hidden underwater cavern. The moment Liang Qiu stepped inside, his breath caught. The cave was loaded with legendary spirit plants, their glow pulsing with sheer power. Reaching out, he brushed his fingers over one. A system prompt flashed, giving him the option to absorb. Jackpot. Spirit plants weren't just valuable, they were priceless. They absorbed insane amounts of energy over the years, each one holding unique, rare effects. The kind of thing that powerful cultivators would kill for. And rumor had it that in Zhao Manor's backyard, there was a frozen pond where special vines grew at the bottom. These vines were so rare and powerful that Master Zhao used them to lure cultivators into servitude. And here? He had an entire cave full of them. No way in hell was he leaving empty-handed. He got to work, gathering as much as he could. His crock? That greedy bastard had already stuffed itself, floating around like an overfed dumpling. Useless little shit, Liang muttered, shaking his head. Whatever. It earned a break. With his arms full, he wasted no time. He popped one into his mouth, and damn near moaned. Not only did his water essence spike immediately, but the taste was unreal. Cool, sweet, and addicting. Before he knew it, he was devouring them non-stop. And the results were immediate. His water essence skyrocketed. He absorbed as much as possible, knowing every bit of it would strengthen his bond with aquatic spirits. The more he had, the faster his beasts would evolve. By the time he was done, he had gained 25 water essence. A hell of a boost. He dumped it all into his fusion with the water monkey bloodline, watching his percentage climb from 5% to 7.5%. That was no small upgrade. If those bastards from before dared to cross him again, he'd rip them apart. But that could wait. He had another problem. He was broke as hell. And with winter around the corner, his crocodiles would be too sluggish to hunt. That meant one thing: he had to cash in while he still could. So he put his beast to work, having it catch as much fish as possible. Stacked up a massive haul. Then, he hit the market. Selling them off? Too damn easy. Merchants here weren't the cutthroat scammers he was used to. They folded like wet paper. A little charm, a few well-placed words, and boom, money in hand. With his financial issues handled, it was time to settle the real score. That old bastard who tried to set him up. But before he could make his move, the dumbass practically walked into his own grave. Word got around. The old man was looking for him, claiming he wanted to apologize for the little misunderstanding. And to show how sincere he was, he invited Liang to a private meal. On his boat. Just the two of them. Liang nearly laughed in his face. The setup was so damn obvious it hurt. But instead of calling him out, he played along. Because this was exactly what he wanted. A few hours before the meetup, the old bastard found himself getting absolutely fucked up. The steward's men beat the hell out of him for the first time in his miserable life. The steward had been humiliated in front of a crowd, and he wasn't about to let that shit slide. Killing the old fool wouldn't do him any good though. Their master Zhao still needed the bastard alive for now. Zhao needed some materials to refine his pills. But not just any materials. What he needed was a damn orphan child. And that's where the old man came in. His job was to snatch up Liang, to send a message loud and clear that the Zhao family wasn't to be fucked with, while also securing the rare ingredient Zhao needed. And if he did this right, Zhao promised him immortality. That promise drove the old bastard wild. Hell, it drove him so nuts that he agreed to a power-boosting seal, something that would shove his old frail ass far beyond its limits for just this one damn mission. With this, the old bastard felt damn sure. Capturing Liang alive would be a breeze. A few hours later, the two of them sat in a boat, the river stretching dark and endless around them. The old man kept his hands busy, working on something, his movements smooth, practiced. But Liang wasn't stupid. Something was off. Before resorting to brute force, the old bastard had chosen a smarter approach: poison. Because why fight when you can kill slow? The plan? Simple. Lace the soup with a toxin that wouldn't kill, just enough to weaken Liang. No screaming, no resisting. But Liang wasn't the type to follow some weak-ass plan. Instead of sipping the damn soup, he went straight for the throat. With a flick of his wrist, a blast of water shot out and wrapped around the old man's head, suffocating him before the bastard could even react. The old fool clawed at the invisible grip around his neck, struggling to breathe, but it was pointless. He couldn't scream. He couldn't fight back. Then everything went dark. When he woke up, it was pure fucking darkness. Night had fallen, his body throbbed with pain, and his mind was spinning like a top. The worst part? He was tied up, spread-eagled like a captured animal. Immediately, he started asking Liang what the hell he was planning to do with him, pretending like he was innocent. Liang wasn't buying that shit for a second. He already had the evidence in his hands. The bastard had been bribed. That sealed the deal. Liang knew exactly what he needed to do. He had the perfect place for assholes like the old man, the same spot where he first found the water beast. Except this time, that beast belonged to him. The old man wanted him to be a monster so fucking badly? Fine. Liang would give him exactly what he wanted. The old bastard, realizing what was about to happen, suddenly grew a conscience. He panicked, apologizing like crazy and begging for his life, promising to spill everything if Liang spared him. And against all odds, Liang agreed. That's when the old man blabbed, how the steward wanted to abduct him, and how not just him, but other orphans as well were targets. To the Zhao family, orphans were just fucking materials to refine a celestial pill, a pill that could grant immortality. The second those words left the old man's mouth, he realized how deep in the shit he was. He'd been complicit. But in an attempt to save his own ass, the old geezer tried to claim he was a victim too, that he had no choice in the matter. Liang didn't give a damn about his excuses. Forced or not, the bastard already knew too much about him. That sealed his fate. There was no walking out of this for the old man. But that didn't mean Liang was in the clear. The Zhao family's reach was fucking far, and their influence wouldn't sit idly by while their man disappeared. Soon enough, they'd come looking, and when that happened, Liang needed a way out. His best option now? Become a goddamn cultivator. Fast. The quickest way to do that was to join a martial arts school. There were 3 schools in Pingyang City, but only one stood at the top, Yang School. The master of Yang School had legendary abilities, could break stone and gold with his bare hands. That kind of power and reputation kept the school untouchable. If Liang could get in, the Zhao family wouldn't dare come after him. If a member of that school went missing, the Yang School would tear the world apart to get them back. But the problem was the fucking requirements. To get in, he needed at least 8 taels of silver, and right now he had just 2. That meant it was time to make some serious cash. With that in mind, Liang dove into the water to hunt again. His swimming had gotten a hell of a lot better these past few days, mostly thanks to his pet croc, which had become his sparring partner for speed training. Because of that, he developed a technique where he compressed the water beneath his feet until it was almost solid, and then released it all at once, giving him a burst of speed. The problem? It drained his energy like a motherfucker. He could only use it for short bursts. Just when he thought it was business as usual, something unusual swam into view. A bright red glow lit up the water. A fucking spiritual fish. In this world, some creatures could evolve, mutating under the influence of special energy. Giant scorpion beetles, 2-headed razor-tooth sharks, iron-finned whales, bizarre shit like that. And now, right in front of him, were 2 spiritual fish, an opportunity he couldn't pass up. He quickly ordered his croc to go after one, while he chased the other. Using his new technique, he easily caught up and trapped the fish in a bubble of water, freezing it in place. Just like that, he had his catch. But as he was about to celebrate, a much bigger threat stirred in the depths. Before he could even react, a massive water beast shot up, slamming him straight into the lake bed. It was fucking terrifying, but this wasn't the time to panic. He locked in, only to realize it was the dreaded 6-barbed fish, the one that supposedly devoured people. And to make it worse, this bastard had tricks just like him. It formed a massive water orb, ready to blast him to hell. But Liang was stronger. He shattered the orb before it could even fully form, but that only pissed the beast off. It lashed out with its tail, and just when things looked bleak, the croc slid in to intercept. Before the beast could recover, the croc hit it with a primary lotus special, slamming the bastard straight into the ground. And that's when Liang pulled out the blood talisman to capture it. But this wasn't going to be easy. The water beast had far stronger spiritual energy than the croc. And that's when everything went to shit. Liang body started spazzing out. And his system crashed with tons of warning messages about mental overload. This was it, now or never. If he hesitated, that beast would rip them apart and feast on their damn bones. So he held his ground. His will to survive burned hotter, and in the end, he fucking won. Then he dragged himself onto the boat, chest heaving, limbs aching, before flopping flat like a dead fish. Just like the croc, the beast shrank the moment it was subdued, now a chunky, oversized plush toy instead of a nightmare predator. And the best part? It had the potential to evolve into a tiger-head whale. Since the damn thing was already round and pudgy, He figured Chunky was the perfect name. With that settled, he turned his attention to the loot. Sure enough, his croc had pulled through, capturing the other spiritual fish. Liang grinned, giving the little bastard a well-earned head pat. Good job, you greedy shit. To celebrate, he got a fire going and started cooking up some fish for the team. He also threw in a smaller spirit fish to see if it would yield any water essence. And hell yes, it did. 18 points worth. That had him grinning like a lunatic. If a tiny spirit fish gave him that much, then a bigger one? That had to be at least triple. That meant he could definitely punch past the 10% fusion threshold. But as tempting as it was to keep going, he had other priorities. He needed money to get into that damn school. So for now, he reined himself in. Focused on stacking up that cash first. Liang Q stepped into the Yixing market, and holy shit, it was packed. The entire place was swarming with people. Everyone was buying, selling, yelling, and just generally making a racket. It was enough to make anyone's head spin. But Liang wasn't here to just stand around. He had his spiritual fish ready, and he was damn sure this market was the perfect spot to make a killing. Still, he couldn't help but feel a bit overwhelmed. The crowd was monstrous. What the hell was going on? Was there some kind of celebration he didn't know about? That's when he saw it, a guy, holding up a spiritual fish. And not just any fish, but one that was clearly getting attention. It didn't take long to figure out what was happening. But instead of feeling defeated, Liang's excitement kicked up a notch. Fuck it. This was his chance. He wasn't going to stand here like some spectator. He was going to get in there and make them see what he was working with. Without missing a beat, he pulled out his own spiritual fish, right into the spotlight. He didn't just show it off, he owned it. He was ready for the crowd to go wild. Ready to bask in their awe. But instead of cheers, a chorus of confusion filled the air. What the hell is that? Someone shouted. That doesn't even look like a spiritual fish. It's some ugly, mangled mess. Liang's stomach dropped. That wasn't the reaction he was expecting. People started laughing, pointing, and he could feel the sting of their mockery slicing through him like a fucking blade. Even the chin guy, the supposed expert, stood there with a smug little smirk on his face, like he was watching some amateur screw up a trick. And then, just when Liang thought it couldn't get worse, it did. A cultivator arrived, practically lighting up the whole damn square with his presence. This wasn't just anyone, this was Wuxia, a respected master from the Yang martial arts school. Naturally, all eyes shifted to him, and of course, the chin guy's fish was the first thing the cultivator saw. Without missing a beat, Wuxia asked, "How much?" Chun, recognizing the power of the man standing before him, didn't hesitate for a second. He wasn't about to lowball it. Instead, he looked up at Wuxia and said, "You name your price, esteemed sir." "I wouldn't dare." Well, this was it. Liang thought for sure the guy would start haggling or dismissing the fish, but the cultivator barely paused. He looked to the crimson bloodfish in Chen's hand, then said casually, 3 taels. Chen damn near dropped his jaw. 3 taels? What the fuck? That was more than he'd ever dreamed of. His face twisted into an expression of disbelief and excitement. But just as things were about to wrap up, Liang wasn't about to let this slide. He snapped his fish forward, shoving it into the cultivator's view and the crowd's. At this point, he expected the same old mockery to hit. People were probably going to laugh harder, talk shit louder. They were already convinced this was going to be another humiliation. But that's when the unexpected happened. Wuxia's eyes locked onto the creature, and his face lit up. He wasn't disgusted. He wasn't dismissive. No, this cultivator was actually excited. And that was the moment Liang realized. He was about to turn the whole damn thing on its head. He barely glanced at the fish before declaring, "That's a horned pomfret. A rare spirit fish, highly valued." Then just like that, the bastard threw out an offer. 6 liangs. The market fucking stopped. Gasps rippled through the crowd, jaws damn near unhinged. They'd all been so damn sure, mocking, snickering, acting like experts. And now? Now they looked like complete idiots. 6 liangs was more money than most families could scrape together in generations. The real fool? Sure as hell wasn't Liang Ku. Even Chun, who had been preening in his so-called victory a moment ago, stood there like someone had slapped the arrogance right off his face. There was no covering this up, no pretending he still had the upper hand. Liang had humiliated him without even trying. But with that much silver on the table, the mood shifted fast. Shock twisted into envy. Some bastard in the crowd even had the audacity to throw out a veiled threat, all dressed up as a joke. Liang didn't even flinch. He coolly wrapped up the sale, ignoring the envious stares. Before handing over the fish, Liang's mind raced. 6 liangs? Twice the price of a crimson bloodfish. He had to know why. So, keeping it casual, he asked. Wuxia, in an unusually good mood, actually answered. This fish wasn't just expensive, it was invaluable. A key ingredient in pills that strengthened essence, refined energy, and most importantly, helped cultivators break through the blood flow barrier. A crucial step in martial cultivation. And as fate would have it, Wuxia was stuck at that exact bottleneck. Well, shit. That explained everything. Liang's perspective shifted. Until now, fish were just money, a way to survive. But this was power. For the first time, he saw the bigger picture. He thanked Wuxia, not out of politeness, but because this knowledge changed everything. A while later, Liang sat in a quiet alley, counting his silver. He was still absorbing everything when someone stepped up behind him. Li Bo, his childhood friend, grinning ear to ear. Heard what happened. You made the village proud, man. Liang appreciated the words, but more than that, he appreciated what Li Bo had done earlier, running to get the village chief when shit hit the fan. So, he took the chance to thank him. Li Bo, of course, just smirked. If you're that grateful, you can hand over that 6th tael of silver. Liang didn't even acknowledge that bullshit. Instead, he cut straight to what really mattered. How much to enroll in the Yang Martial Arts School? Li Bo lit up. You're thinking of joining? Yeah. That just made him even more excited. Perfect timing. My old man's sending me there, too. Yang Martial Arts School wasn't cheap. Basic enrollment was 7 taels of silver, no meals or lodging. 10 if you wanted those. 20 if you wanted the full treatment, medicinal baths included. But it was the best. The most prestigious. The one that actually mattered. Liang thought it over, and then grinned. He was in. He'd been saving everything he earned, and with today's fortune, he had a solid 9 taels of silver. More than enough for the basic course. Let's sign up tomorrow. Li Bo practically vibrated with excitement. Fuck yeah. Just when everything felt right, their excitement got ripped to shreds. Liang's passive ability kicked in out of nowhere, sending a cold-ass chill down his spine. His senses sharpened, stretching beyond what should be normal. Voices drifted into his ears, too clear, too close. And worse? They came straight from the Zhao Manor. The moment he caught their words, his stomach clenched. They weren't just rambling about something random. They were tracking him. Hunting him. Fuck. This was bad. Really fucking bad. If they were already on his trail, he didn't have time to sit around. He needed power now. So, the second night fell, he bolted back to the lake. And to his surprise, Chongqi had actually snagged another spirit fish. Perfect. Without hesitation, he got to cooking. He wasn't some savage who'd tear into it raw like a damn animal. No, he took his time, seasoned it properly, let the flavors meld into something incredible. The rich, steaming soup filled the air with a scent so good it could have made a grown man weep. His pets? They were damn near drooling. Staring at the meal like it was the only thing that mattered in the world. Well, lucky for them, Liang wasn't some selfish bastard. He shared. Everyone ate. Everyone devoured their share. And damn, was it worth it. This spirit fish wasn't just a meal, it was a damn jackpot. 24 water essence. Way better than that horned pomfret's measly 18. That was all he needed. The moment his energy surged, he knew this was an upgrade. His fusion shot up to nearly 12%. And hell, now he really wanted a fight, just to see how much stronger he'd gotten. But that wasn't the only thing that changed. His water control? Sharper. Faster. Stronger. If he wanted, he could lift his chunky little beast straight into the air without breaking a sweat. But then something else caught his attention. His beast's evolution requirements had dropped. The hell? All he did was feed them, and the requirement dropped from 800 to 779? That was insane. That damn water cauldron was turning out to be something way beyond what he first thought. Which made him wonder, what the fuck was it really? A natural relic? Or something created by something far greater? The answer had to be in the cauldron itself. So, he summoned it. And immediately, he noticed something strange. Liang Q's eyes traced the carvings on the cauldron, a water monkey on one side and a winged dragon on the other. Weird creatures danced around, one with a human head and a snake's body, and another cloaked in a robe like some shadowy figure. It didn't take a genius to figure out that this was a clue. What it meant. Who the hell knew? But no matter how much it made his brain itch to figure it out, he wasn't about to lose himself in the details. Overthinking this would get him nowhere. He had shit to do, and that meant focusing. He was about to enroll in a damn martial arts school tomorrow, and if he didn't snap out of this, he might just end up overthinking himself into a corner. So the next day came, and with it, a whole new set of problems. Liang Q found himself stuffed into a carriage with Li Bo, who was practically vibrating with excitement. The kid's enthusiasm was so over the top that Liang Q almost regretted not doing this solo. "Man, are you sure you don't need to calm the hell down?" Liang Q muttered, feeling the kid practically bounce off the seat next to him. It wasn't long before they hit Pingyang City, a chaotic mess of people, goods, and noise. It was the kind of place where you couldn't walk 5 feet without getting elbowed or tripping over someone's cart. The air was thick with the smells of food sizzling on the streets, and it was so packed that the two of them got swept into the crowd before they could even blink. Li Bo was all over it, dragging Liang Q around to sample every weird street food, peeking at every handcrafted item like it was some kind of treasure. They even stumbled upon a bizarre little show where a guy was lying flat on bricks while some muscle-bound freak hammered him with what could only be described as a thing. A truly disgusting sight, to say the least. Meanwhile, not too far away, a group of assholes had been watching them for a while. They'd been eyeing Liang Q's money since yesterday, originally planning to mug him then, but when they overheard the two heading for the Yang Martial Arts School, they knew they'd just hit the jackpot. 2 bags of money instead of 1? They were practically drooling at the thought of it. Even if they sold their wives, they wouldn't see that much wealth in a lifetime. But if they could grab it? Hell, they'd be set. Some of the guys were hesitant, though. They knew how risky it was. Getting caught could end them up in front of the magistrate, with no way out. But their leader just laughed it off, grinning wide like a damn wolf. "Don't worry about it. I'll handle the bodies myself." He didn't even break a sweat when he said it. Besides, no one will know a damn thing. They'd all seen how Liang Q and Li Bo were taking the shortest route to the school, a back road barely anyone used. Perfect for an ambush. The group waited like predators in the dark, and just like they'd predicted, the two boys walked right into the trap. As they appeared, the gang stepped out from behind the trees, blocking their path. "Hand over the money, kids," the leader sneered, his grin wide and sickening. "You've got 2 choices, give it up without a fight, or we bury you right here in the dirt." They laughed like it was some fucking joke. Liang Q wasn't laughing. No. He had a different kind of smile, one that was all teeth. It was devious, the kind of grin that made people think twice about their decisions. "Well," he said slowly, "if you're so eager to bury someone, I'd be more than happy to help you fulfill your wish." And that's when the fight was on. What happens next? Well, you're gonna have to stick around to find out. If you're loving this journey so far, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Trust me, it's about to get wild.